I used to think some people were born to shine, like the spotlight just naturally followed them wherever they went. My sister, Maya, was one of those people. She didn't even have to try. Her laugh was louder, her smile brighter, her stories always seemed bigger than mine. Whenever she walked into a room, eyes turned. And whenever I walked in, well, no one really noticed. But I didn't mind, not at first. In fact, I kind of liked it. I was the quiet one, the reliable one, the sister who held the camera while Maya danced in front of it. She was the star, and I was the background. That's just how things were, and it was fine, until it wasn't. Because when someone is always in the spotlight, they start believing it belongs to them, and only them. And when you're always in the shadows, people start forgetting you're even there. I still remember the first time it really stung. We were at a family gathering, one of those noisy backyard barbecues where everyone's talking over each other. My aunt asked Maya about her college applications, and Maya launched into this dramatic story about how she'd nailed her interview for the drama program. Everyone clapped, everyone cheered. But when I tried to share that I'd been accepted into the writing program I'd dreamed about for years, the words barely left my mouth before someone changed the subject back to Maya. I laughed it off, pretended it didn't matter. But inside, it felt like a small cut. And small cuts, they add up. The thing is, Maya didn't mean to hurt me. She wasn't cruel. She just absorbed attention like oxygen, and I let her. I thought that was my role, to keep the peace, to stay quiet, to be supportive. But then something happened that made me question everything. Something that pulled me out of the background and shoved me into the center of a story I never asked for. It started with a boy. Doesn't it always? He wasn't flashy like Maya's usual admirers. He noticed things most people didn't. The way I fiddled with my necklace when I was nervous, the fact that I remembered everyone's coffee order, even the way I preferred listening over talking. He saw me, the me that lived off stage, in the shadows. And for the first time, I felt like maybe that was enough. But when Maya found out, when she realized that someone could look past her dazzling light to find me standing quietly behind her, things began to shift. At first, it was subtle, a joke here, a raised eyebrow there. But little by little, the sister I thought I knew started to change. And the girl who loved staying invisible? She was about to be dragged into the spotlight in the worst possible way. Because Maya wasn't about to let me have something she believed belonged to her. And that was just the beginning. Maya and I grew up in the same house, under the same roof, but sometimes it felt like we lived in two different worlds. She was the oldest by just 18 months, but you'd think there was a 10-year gap between us by the way people treated her. To my parents, she was the leader, the example, the one everyone should follow. To teachers, she was the charismatic one, the kind who always got picked to read aloud or lead group projects. And to our friends, she was simply Maya, the girl everyone wanted to be around. Me? I was the quiet shadow in the corner. I wasn't unloved, not ignored exactly, just overlooked. If Maya was the sun, I was the moon, visible only when she wasn't shining too bright. And the truth is, I thought I was okay with that for most of my life. It was easier to let her take the stage. It meant less pressure, fewer expectations. But deep down, I still wanted to be seen. Not in the big, flashy way Maya was, but in that quiet, steady way that made people feel they really knew you. I wanted someone to notice the words I wrote in my notebook, the sketches in the margins of my homework, the way I listened when others talked. I didn't need applause. I just needed recognition. Maya and I weren't enemies. We actually laughed a lot together. She'd tell stories with wild hand gestures, and I'd be the one who whispered the details she forgot. She needed me, even if she didn't always realize it. I filled in the blanks, the spaces between her bursts of energy. And when no one else was around, she'd confess her fears to me. The stage fright she hid from others, the worry that people liked her for her performance, not her real self. Those were the moments that reminded me she wasn't just a spotlight. She was human too. But then came Ryan. Ryan wasn't the kind of guy who fell at Maya's feet, and maybe that's what made him different. He was thoughtful, quiet, the type who asked questions and actually listened to the answers. He noticed me one afternoon at the campus cafe when Maya had stepped away to take a phone call. Instead of waiting for her return, he leaned across the table and asked about the book I was reading. No one ever asked me that before. And that was the start of something small but powerful. Conversations that stretched longer than they should have. Smiles that felt private, meant only for me. I didn't tell Maya at first, not because I wanted to hide it, but because I didn't know what it was yet. And maybe, selfishly, I wanted something that was just mine. But secrets have a way of finding daylight. And in a house where one sister lived in the spotlight, daylight was exactly what I was afraid of. Because once Maya found out, things would never be the same again. It didn't take long for Maya to notice. She always noticed, especially when it came to attention. At first, it was little things. She caught me smiling at a text, and her eyebrows lifted in curiosity. "Who's that?" she asked, half teasing, half probing. I shrugged it off, saying it was just a classmate. But Maya wasn't dumb. She knew me too well, and the fact that I wasn't spilling every detail made her suspicious. The real turning point came one weekend when Ryan and I bumped into her at the bookstore. He was holding a copy of a novel I'd recommended, and his grin gave away more than words could. Maya's eyes flickered between us, and in that instant, I felt it, the shift, like a spotlight swinging away from her and landing on me. She laughed it off, of course. Maya always knew how to play it cool in public. But when we got home, the question started. "So, when were you planning on telling me?" she asked, her voice light, but her eyes sharp. I tried to explain that it wasn't a secret. Not really. We were just talking, getting to know each other. But she didn't hear me. All she saw was that I had something she didn't. And Maya hated losing. Suddenly, the little jabs started. She'd make comments about how quiet I was, how unexpected it was that someone like Ryan would be interested in me. She laughed when she said it, but the laughter cut deeper than she knew. Other times, she'd conveniently show up wherever we were, sliding into conversations, tossing her hair, shining brighter. Ryan was polite, but I felt the pressure tightening around me. Was he looking at her? Did he still see me the way he used to? Or was Maya pulling him into her orbit like she did with everyone else? The worst part wasn't even her actions. It was the doubt she planted in my head. She knew how to twist things just enough to make me question myself. And once you start doubting the one thing that makes you feel seen, everything starts to crack. One night, I caught Maya texting under the table, her phone lighting up her smirk. When I asked who it was, she only said, "You'll see soon enough." And in that moment, my stomach dropped. Because for the first time, I realized Maya wasn't just playing around. She was planning something. From that night on, something in the air between us shifted. Maya didn't come at me directly. That wasn't her style. Instead, she worked in shadows of her own, subtle, calculated, almost invisible until you strung the pieces together. Ryan and I would make plans to meet at the cafe, and suddenly Maya would appear, claiming she just happened to be in the neighborhood. She'd slide into the seat beside him, her energy spilling over like a flood, telling dramatic stories while Ryan laughed politely. I sat there watching, a knot forming in my chest, wondering if he noticed how she positioned herself closer, how her hand brushed his arm just a little too often. At first, I told myself I was imagining it, that I was just paranoid. After all, she was my sister. Why would she try to steal something that meant so much to me? But the more it happened, the harder it was to ignore. The whispers started too. A friend pulled me aside in the hallway, asking if it was true that Ryan and Maya were spending more time together. I laughed it off, but my voice shook when I denied it. And later that night, when I scrolled through Maya's Instagram, my heart sank. There it was. A photo of her and Ryan, smiling at some late-night diner. No caption, just a sparkle emoji. I didn't even know they'd been together that night. When I asked her about it, she shrugged like it was nothing. "Relax. He's just a friend. You're being too sensitive." But her smirk told another story, one she didn't bother to hide. Ryan tried to reassure me, saying he only had eyes for me. But even his words started to feel thinner the more Maya inserted herself. And the cruelest part? Some part of me believed him, and some part of me believed her. It became a silent tug-of-war, one I never asked to be part of. Every smile from Ryan felt like proof. Every laugh he shared with Maya felt like betrayal. And Maya, oh, she knew exactly what she was doing. She was testing me, pushing me, daring me to step out of the shadows and fight. But I didn't know how. I'd never been the fighter. I'd always been the quiet one, the safe one. And Maya thrived on conflict, on being the center of it. Then came the night of the party. The one I didn't even want to go to, but Ryan insisted. He said it would be fun, that I needed to relax, that we could finally just enjoy ourselves. I wanted to believe him. I wanted so badly for things to go back to the way they were in the beginning. Simple, quiet, ours. But as soon as we walked through the door, I saw her. Maya. Already there. Already waiting. Her eyes met mine across the room, and in that instant, I knew. Something was about to happen. Something I couldn't stop. And when she stood up, smiling as Ryan's gaze followed her, I felt the floor drop beneath me. The party was already unraveling inside me, but nothing could have prepared me for what Maya did next. She clinked her glass against the mic stand, drawing everyone's attention like she always did, her smile wide and perfect. "I have an announcement," she said, her voice floating across the room. And before I could process what was happening, she reached for Ryan's hand. My stomach twisted as she pulled him closer, holding on like she owned him. "We've been spending a lot of time together," she continued, her eyes flicking straight to me, sharp and deliberate. "And, well, it turns out we're kind of a thing." The room erupted. Cheers, whistles, claps. Everyone bought it instantly, because of course they did. Maya knew how to sell a story better than anyone. But Ryan didn't cheer. He didn't even smile. He looked frozen, caught between her grip and my wide, breaking stare. And then, just when I thought the knife couldn't go any deeper, Maya leaned into the mic and added, almost playfully, "Funny thing is she knew all along." Gasps rippled through the crowd. All eyes turned to me. And in that single moment, it wasn't just my heart on the line, it was my truth. The room blurred around me. Voices, laughter, whispers, all of it melting into a single roar inside my head. Maya still clung to Ryan's hand, her smile steady, like she had just delivered the perfect performance. And maybe she had. She knew exactly how to pull the strings, how to turn an entire room against me without ever raising her voice. I wanted to disappear. That was my instinct, always had been. To shrink back into the shadows and wait for the storm to pass. But this time, something in me snapped. "No," I said, louder than I expected. The chatter stopped. Dozens of eyes turned my way, waiting for me to crumble. But I didn't. I looked right at Maya, my voice shaking but strong enough to cut through the silence. "You don't get to tell my story." Ryan yanked his hand free from hers. "What are you doing, Maya?" His tone was sharp, the kind I'd never heard him use. For the first time, the spotlight slipped from her face. She tried to laugh it off, saying it was just a joke, just fun. But Ryan wasn't laughing. Neither was I. He turned to me, his eyes fierce and steady. "I'm with you. Always have been." The room shifted. People started whispering again, this time with doubt in their voices. Maya's perfect act cracked at the edges. And in that tiny fracture, I finally felt the weight lift off my shoulders. But then, just when I thought it was over, Maya's expression hardened. She leaned close. Her words meant only for me. "You think you've won? You have no idea what he's hiding." I froze. My victory turned to ice. Ryan's jaw tightened, his gaze dropping for the briefest second. And in that instant, I realized the war wasn't between me and Maya anymore. It was about to shift into something far more dangerous.